Hello?
Yeah, Mavs, am I back? Are you there?
Hey, yay!
Yeah, I lost my my internet suddenly just cut out. When did it cut out for you?
Uh,
Did you even see any of the trailer?
yes, we were watching the Unreal Engine.
Yes, the Unreal
We
Engine.
paused it, and then he was like, okay, that's, you got the nitty gritty, blah, blah, blah.
And then that's when it cut out. Okay, cool, 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 cool,
And
cool.
then you asked me, what do you think? And then I responded, like, yeah, I think it looks amazing. And then it paused for like 5 minutes. 30 minutes felt like. I heard nothing, no response. And then you came back, and I was like, yay! And then you left again for like 4 hours. And now you're back, and we're in here in this situation.
And all with time machines. It's ridiculous. It's only been like
Oh fuck!
yeah, we
The
have
the
to.
the Loki's coming after us.
TV is gonna be showing up at our doorstep any minute now. So might as well finish up this podcast while we have time. Uh, let's. I had so we had one more trailer. What was the first one you showed me?
That Suicide Squad new one, and then it was like that Pokemon.
Pokemon. The game news. Do the Pokemon Unite? Is it Arceus
I
or Pokemon United?
I don't know. It's Pokemon Unite. I don't know what the fuck it is. I've never heard of it. It's just like more new shit.
Pokemon new game. There's Arceus and Unite. That's what you were trying to. There's a
What-
trailer.
Like what kind of game is it? Just like a regular like a color, like blue and gold or whatever, like, or is it like
I
some
don't.
other kind of formula?
I don't know. Let's check it out. So let me pause it real quick and switch over. Matt, here's a Pokemon Unite. Now actual game footage.
I can't hear any of it, but that's fine. I don't need to hear this. They just devolve.
It's evolved.
Yeah, that's weird.
Pikachu's like, I'm gonna beat your ass.
You catch him? What?
What the fuck is going on?
This is Digimon.
Digital Monsters, Digital Guardian Champions?
Oh shit! What fuck a Pikachu?
Lucario, though.
Super effective against Absol. Get it! Get it!
Pikachu gonna block his ass.
That looks stupid.
But what they trying to do? Okay, here's the game footage. Oh, it's like it's like it looks like it, look, it looks like League of Champions, League of Legends, but with Pokemon.
I'm totally down for this.
I don't like this kind of game.
You don't like League of Legends?
Personally, no.
Yeah, I can understand.
It didn't seem fun to me. I'm like, I don't like it. I'm not against it, but okay. So this is what it is. It's like an MMO. It's like a top down.
Looks awful.
Let's look at Arceus real quick. 'Cause I haven't
This
seen
is a
Arceus.
tale from a long, long time
Oh,
ago.
with wooden
When the
Pokeballs.
Sinnoh
What?
region was still only a vast
The
wilderness.
peppercorns.
A certain village bustled with the comings and goings of people, while in the mountains and seas, Pokemon roamed as they pleased.
So far, it's an ancient Pokemon game. Not too ancient, but ancient enough where it looks like rural Japan. That's nice. Yeah. Do we get Samurai? Can we get Samurai? How totally dig Samurai in Pokemon.
Oh, what? That better be a mechanic in the game.
What, the throwing from the... Like,
Catching them by sneaking.
you catch them by sneaking instead of actually batting.
I don't think you understand how loud you are. But yeah, it does look interesting. I mean, I could probably try this out. This looks a lot better than the last shit.
That is cool. So you can actually just roam around and like sneak and catch these Pokemon without the battle.
Oh, you did get your samurai.
You can make it so.
It's a bunch of different generations. I wonder what the Pokedex is going to look like in this game, because that was 3 different generations.
It's a center. It's a center region. And it's center region in ancient times. Before, like they had wooden Pokeballs.
Sinnoh. Okay, so yeah, so if it's Sinnoh, it'll probably have some Easter eggs in there, references from Diamond and Pearl. Okay, so I'm guessing.
Legends implies that it might be a series. Do you think it could be a series?
That's what do you say, Max?
Like Legends Arceus implies that there's like could be more than one.
That's what Dusty just said right now too. Like
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like they're gonna do like the Assassin's Creed games and just do it.
the implication of Legends Arcs implies that it could be Legends Gengar.
They ran out of colors and letters.
They ran out of colors lists and
And now they're
shapes.
starting with Pokemon.
Jewelry.
We're in the end game, boys.
Oh yeah, these are about done. I'm about to go back in
Turn
there.
off the fan. Turn off the fan real quick.
Hello?
All this will be cut out in post editing.
Why?
Hello?
Mouse, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All this will be cut in post. All this silence and the. Okay, so I think we're done with. What was that? Any more game trailers before we move on to entertainment and news?
Yes, but we can just get back to it later.
Well, we're gonna later. I got Loki review in Dark Side of the Ring.
Right. There's nothing that I saw immediately.
Okay, cool.
I think everything like the new Metroidvanias, the new Metroid game. I think we touched on both of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Salt and Sanctuary, Salt and what was the other one? Salt and
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. Salt and Sacrifice. That I'm really actually excited for that because I didn't even know they were going to make a sequel to that.
It's not much of a sequel. It's more like it says like it's this offshoot of it.
Well, another
one.
Yes, it's in real life it's a sequel game because it's a second one, but it may not be in the continuity of the original game. Who gives a shit? I still consider it a sequel. Also, like so I also heard the Hollow Knight, the Hollow Knight sequel, Hollow Knight Silk Song, where you play as that one waifu bug from the first game. You play as that one in the second game, but I guess all I heard was that there was bad news from Team Cherry.
Alrighty. Alrighty. I had some good, funny MMA news. It was Jake Paul. Jake Paul's scared to fight. Here it is. Let's see. Not Tyson Woodley. Anderson Silva. It's Anderson Silva. Had some news about Anderson Silva. He came back. So Anderson Silva came back this week to out of retirement. He decided to go into boxing, and then he said he whooped Jake or Logan Paul's ass. It didn't really matter which one.
Oh shit!
So Anderson Silva came back this week. He stunned Julio Cesar Jr. by a split decision in a boxing match.
Shit!
He's a MMA fighter, but he came into a boxing match. He defeated Julio Cesar Jr. via split decision.
He came out of retirement to whoop a YouTuber's ass.
No. Right now, Anderson Silva fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., an actual fighter, in a legit boxing match. And it was a split decision, but he won. It was via split decision 75-77, 77-75, 77-75. So 3 judges voted for him. 2 judges voted for him, 1 voted against. In a shocking and impressive boxing performance against the Mexican in Jalisco Stadium in Guadalajara. The heavy underdog Silva had not competed in boxing since 2005 and had just 2 pro boxing matches coming in. Chavez Jr., the son of namesake of Mexico's most popular boxing superstar, is a former WBC middleweight champion. Silva says he loves fighting. Boxing was always a dream for many years. He needed to show his respect for boxing. He needed to come here and do his best, he says. The bout was contested at 182 pounds with 8 3-minute rounds. Chavez Jr. missed weight by 2.4 pounds Friday, forfeiting $100,000 of his purse to Silva. Damn, it was a little fat, huh? He decided to eat that taco after all. Hey, dude, whenever you're overweight and you spend $100,000, you did it on purpose. You did it on purpose. Like I remember one time I actually was overweight at a match. I did it on purpose. There was something I just had to eat. Silva's fight against Chavez Jr. started slow, but Silva started to gain confidence in the 3rd round and looked like a vintage version of his MMA all-time great. Started dropping his hands and taunting Chavez Jr. in the 3rd round.
Oh shit!
It was a stunning display considering the enormous gap in boxing experience. Silva carried the confidence and started hurting Chavez Jr. in the 4th round with a combination of long, straight lefts, and Silva, a southpaw, showed off a solid snapping jab as well. Chavez Jr. had some moments with his body shots, left hooks, but never really hurt Silva. In the 7th, Silva opened up a cut near Chavez's right eye, Chavez Jr.'s right eye, which started bleeding worse in the 8th round. I think it could have been a draw, said Chavez Jr. I felt to throw more punches. He didn't do much damage. There was a few rounds that went back and forth. Silva outlanded Chavez Jr. 93-53 in total punches and 61-41 in punching and power punches per CompuBox. Afterwards, Canelo Alvarez, the world's best pound-for-pound boxer, came up to Silva and gave him a salute. Silva said, I don't believe it, Silva said. Canelo came to talk to me. I'm so happy. What? Silva had been talking about doing a boxing match for a decade or so, but had been under contract with UFC. Silva had been a boxing bout with Roy Jones Jr. Silva always says that boxing bout with Roy Jones Jr. was a dream and goal of his. Maybe now it can happen as both of them are at an advanced age. Silva 2-1 is one of the greatest champs in MMA history. The Brazilian native held the UFC middleweight title for 7 years, the longest reign in the promotion's history. The Spider owns most of his winning streaks. Most of it owns the longest winning streaks in UFC history, 16, and the most formidable finishes in UFC title fights, 9. Silva, 46, asked for his release from the UFC last November, and it was granted. He has just one MMA victory since then, since 2012. Chavez
He might have
Jr.
like a lot of advantage right now.
Right? Chavez Jr.
He's a new fighter that people don't really. You can like
No, he's
review.
What's up? Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, you can like look at old fights from other fighters, other boxers, and learn from that. But he has nothing. He was an MMA fighter.
Well, MMA uses boxing too, but it has
Yeah,
a lot
but
of grappling.
it's a completely different sport from
Yeah,
boxing.
it really is. He must have just trained and looked at and just had a good speed to be able to get in all his punches. Chavez wasn't ready for him apparently. He must have thought he was gonna it was gonna be easy on him. Chavez had a 52-6-1 record. Has lost 4 of his past 6 fights. He is indefinitely suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission and the Arizona Boxing and MMA Commission for refusing to take drug tests before a fight with Danny Jacobs in 2019. Chavez Jr., 35, has never quite lived up to the lofty family expectations, though he does own wins over Marco Antonio Rubio and Andy Lee. He has dropped his high-profile bouts to Canelo Alvarez and Jacobs. On the undercard, Ramon Alvarez, brother of Canelo, brother of Canelo beats Omar Chavez, son of Chavez Jr., and brother of Chavez, son of Chavez Sr., brother of Chavez Jr., via unanimous decision. Okay.
Oh shit!
Nice. That's fun. Then he goes out and say he's undecided what on future after stunning upset. I don't have nothing more to prove to anybody, really. So he doesn't know what to do now. After 8 rounds, he looks like he's just a seasoned professional in boxing. He's just a true fighter, and he always knew boxing. So if you know the sport,
I can get behind him. I'm a
he,
fan.
he's one of the Logan Paul brothers would talk shit, and then he say, "Oh yeah, bring him." And now I think I don't know where it is, but it's Jake Paul. Yeah, here we go. Jake
The
Paul
one that
has,
only fights retired or old boxers.
here. Anderson Silva opens up to boxing at any of the Paul brothers. Jake Paul responds. Jake Paul may not be interested in boxing Anderson Silva after MMA great beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., but he did offer up a more interesting possibility. Okay, let's see. What did he say? Respect to Anderson Silva on the win. Would be an honor to have him versus Roy Jones Jr. in the same card as Tyson and I. Tyrone and I. Okay, Tyrone and I. I thought I said Tyson. Okay, never mind. I thought he said he was trying to call out. He was trying to get a fight with Tyson. I don't know what is up with I guess the little Paul brothers. I think their venture into professional boxing. It might actually turn out well for them, or they might just fall on their ass. I want to see at this point. Man arrested in Oregon for swinging lightsabers at a cop and the flex taser. Florida man, soon I will have a new apprentice. Far one younger, one more powerful. God damn it. So, yeah, Silva has nothing to prove, really. Let's see. Anything else in sports? Not really. Let's talk about Loki. Let's move on to the Loki segment. So, as everybody's been noticing, we've been talking about Loki for the last few weeks. This last week started last few weeks. I don't know what I'm talking about. Last week, and we want to we watched episode 2 like 3 or 4 times already. I think at this point.
Yeah.
I've watched each of them a few times with different people.
And episode 2 is just as good as episode 1 because it starts off. And there's a little recap.
I mean, I'm already hooked.
Of episode 1.
Hooked. Episode 3 comes out fucking. Oh, well, I guess by the time this releases, it'll be today, right? But
yeah.
Okay, so tomorrow. For
yeah,
us
really.
We're in the past.
But we're live now in the present. We live in the moment. I don't know what you're talking about.
Anyway, I'm excited for episode 3.
So
It'll narrow down some of the possibilities.
So episode 2 starts off with right at the beginning. There's a it starts off with another TVA agent group coming out to it looks like 1985. Right, 1985 they come back to it looks to a Renaissance fair. And the first thing someone says like, "You guys aren't dressed right. Hello." Some of us need this as like the TVA agents are just walking through and they're.
Yeah, she was an employee. Yeah, she was an employee, and like she was worried about getting in trouble for people not dressing right.
So, what's her face? It's C20, I think was her name. But the one in charge of this group looks at the little scanner, and they see that they're getting close to where the variance energy is coming from, and they walk into a little tent. And right as they walk into a tent, they get a magical splendor. Music starts introducing them, welcoming them to their nice show. Are you looking for a hero? And then suddenly you see I think you see Loki variant touch the leader's head of this group, and you see a little green magic flow through him, and instantly this girl takes off her head, and you have a great little scene where you have "I Need a Hero" play as this girl.
Great song.
Just dies. Yeah, she just started killing everybody. And then Loki variant comes out from behind, I think, right at the end, and stabs the last one, and steals the reset charge and the girl. And she walks in. She actually also steals the little controller, and opens up a door and walks away. And and then it flashes to the intro, the nice spooky intro. I really like the intro. Just the cutscene. And so the way the letters flicker back and forth to different like just forms themselves.
And that's the end. This is where we review the intro. And that's it.
What are you talking about? And then it passes on to Loki in the TVA headquarters, right? And Miss Minutes is there trying to get him to answer questions over, I guess, the videos they had to watch. And he's like leaning back, he's like, whatever, like bad things, like I gotta be right. And she's like, yeah, I got the answer right. Boring. You happy? And Miss Minutes tries to get him to just come on. We need to watch this for the TVA for the end of time. Like, and Loki finally asks, "Are you like alive? Or are you recording?" And it's like, kind of both. And like, huh? And so he rolls up his newspaper, the little magazine he has, and starts trying to smack her. Like, hey, that's rude. And he starts avoiding it.
Oh, bro, the look of pure joy on his face when he realizes he can fuck with her.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, this is the biggest smile you've seen in him all series.
Like, and he just like smacks his
Oh
face.
shit! Fuck yeah! It's like this little bit. Yeah, she jumps into the screen, and then later, whenever it pans back, like she's in the background after Mobius shows up, a little prompt shows up from Miss Minutes. She's just like, "Test failed," like, and she looks all pissy.
Test failed. Whatever. Test failed. And so Mobius comes up and like takes him away. Like, Mobius, we got to go. And he gives him the jacket. Like, so he puts on this jacket, and it looks so nice. And it looks smart, right? Like, I look smart. He pops in his collar. So they're going. They meet up with the other thing. Dusty, you have an echo. There we go. Yes. He meets up with the other agents, and they decide to make fun of Loki because Loki's trying to be a smart ass whenever, I think what Mobius is describing the mission, Loki's like, no,
Yeah,
you don't, you have it wrong. This magic is like so and so and so, while this magic makes a facsimile of oneself, which is so and so and so, and completely different. But you all knew that, right? Like, okay, Professor Loki, calm down, take a chill pill. And it turns out he has Barry on the back of his jacket. And this is also the scene like, okay, when you're looking down for Loki, and he starts showing off. He tells everybody we've killed off a lot of these. They're very popular. They're always fucking things up. And he starts showing different versions of Loki. There's blue Loki, small Loki, big Loki, Loki with horns, Loki that won the Tour de France. And yeah, they go into the mission there, and which mission was that? That was the one where at the beginning of the episode, yeah. They go in. Oh yeah, they're looking what happened in 1985. They go back to 1985 to see how or why this Loki got away. They go in. They start walking. They start walking down, and Loki tries to start this. Like he starts spewing some stuff like it's a trap. It's if you go outside, you're all dead. But he's like, I'll tell you how to beat him, but I need assurance. Assurance is that I won't die right away. And wasn't finally Mobius finally decides like, yeah, that's a trap. No, it's not. He's lying. Don't worry about it. You almost had me there, and they all just reset the timeline there and get jump the fuck out. And Mobius gets in hot water with Ravonna, the one in charge of the TVA, and they're going back and forth about how this Loki is dangerous, but he's like, I trust him. Like he's very egotistical. He's very arrogant. That's what he says. He's very arrogant, and he gets like just a little bit more time with them. I say, you're fine. Just you got a little bit more time. The timekeepers are very mad. Like, how are the timekeepers? I never met them before, and like they're very involved. Like, oh, that's cool. Anyways, he comes out. Loki starts like trying to kiss up to him, and he just tells him to shut up. What happened to like the guy that didn't want to ever talk? I want that back. Now I have this one guy. I just want shut up. What makes it Loki tick? And like but is that what you brought me here? Like, no, I brought you here to catch me the better version of you. And I thought in my silly head that because you knew that he was better than you, that you wanted to catch him because you knew that he was better than you. And it's like, no. I'm 11 steps ahead of you, my dear Mobius. I've been playing the game while you're playing the game while I've been playing the game. I've been playing the game by myself. Basically what he ends up saying, but they're trying to capture Mobius, and then he decides like, whatever, Ice Front, you can either believe that or you can just whatever. Just I need you. Just get to work. And from there, I guess he puts him to work. Like they start researching everything about Loki. He starts. He does some research by himself, I guess. Owen Wilson leaves him alone, and then you have that little scene where he's like talking like, "Oh no, the Loki stole another. It killed another group. Oh, and he stole another reset charge. Huzzah!" And then the lady behind him says, "Shh," and he gets mad and he turns around and he goes, "You shh," or he goes, "Shh." And that's where he looks at the Asgard thing at Ragnarok. The report on Ragnarok. And he's just reading through. He notices it. He starts reading through it, like 9,000 deaths, and like everything's fucked. And there's like no variance energy, Apparently that caught his eye because he starts running out to Mr. Mobius over here, and he's like, hey, check this out. So in the apocalypse, if I mess with something and destroy something, but that was going to be destroyed anyways, because I destroyed it, no one noticed that I destroyed it because it's going to be destroyed anyways. And therefore, there's no variance energy. Therefore, you guys can't see me. Like, and then he was like, check this out. And he steals like this out. Like, wait, that's my salad. No. I need something for like a metaphor. So, this is like Ragnarok, right? And I coming by, and I'm gonna mess up the timeline. Like, say I push the Hulk off the Rainbow Bridge, and he starts like putting pepper in there, or I go light Asgard on fire and put salt. And this is just me messing with the timeline. But because Surtur, and he needs to go, he needs a drink, but the other guy already drank his drink. Like, he goes steals the guy next to him. It turns out to be the same little case he got from the last episode. Hey, I just need this. He steals the drink and pours it. Surtur's going to destroy everything. It doesn't matter what I do because it's going to be destroyed anyways. And you guys can't see me because it's going to be destroyed anyways. If you guys can't see me, that's where I will hide. And it's like, we need to go test this theory. Like, no, I don't want to test this theory. What if you stab me in the back? Like, no, I wouldn't stab you in the back. And like, dude, I've studied your whole life. You literally stab people in the back like 50 times. Like, well, wouldn't do it again. And after that, they're like, well, we can go test this theory. If we need to I need you to trust anything. Trust that I always want to be right. So they go back to I think they go back to Pompeii. It might be somewhere else, but they go back to like ancient Rome, and around there, they're like seeing the volcano about to explode. And Mobius telling him, like, just make like bird noises. Like, what, bird noises? Yeah, like, we gotta do small. Like, we're not meant to be here. Like, you're living in the face of apocalypse. Just relax. And then Loki just runs out and releases the goats. I think, yeah, the goats. He releases the goats, and he starts yelling, "Huzzah! I am Loki!" And he's all speaking like, I think, a Greek or Roman. Or no, he's speaking Latin. Because they're in Rome. And like, I am Loki, I'm from the future. Like, you're all about to die. Because I am here. This volcano is about to explode. And 3, 2, 1. And the volcano starts to erupt. And Mobius looks down and notices that there is no variance energy. Like, whoa, you're right. There is no variance. Like, see? There's no variance energy because everything's gonna explode. Nothing because I'm here. Nothing's changing because no one noticed that I was here. This would be the perfect place to hide. And he throws up his pen and he looks up, and you just see the curtain of smoke, of ash and like fire coming behind him. And he's just smiling in front of it. It's great scene. Moving on. After that, they start looking for like, they start looking for apocalypses where he could be hiding. Because it's like, where could he be hiding? There's got to be like a billion apocalypses, and they can't think of anything. But then, Mobius realizes, I got something. This other thing, some girl gave me a piece of gum, and it's like kablooey, and they found that kablooey was only sold in America between 48 to 51, and like early 51. So they had to find, okay, so what all apocalypses could happen between 1948 and 2048 and 2051. It turns out there was quite a bit. There was the climate disaster 49, the destruction of the seagull, the extinction of the seagull, the volcano eruption of Hawaii in 51. But it ended up narrowing it down to, what was it? Alabama 2050. Apparently there's a hurricane. There's a hurricane. Yeah, there's a hurricane coming in, and there was a storefront kind of like a Walmart that was right next to the shore that everybody was hiding at. That'd be a perfect spot to like keep going back and forth to do whatever. Like that'd be the perfect place to hide. So they had to go check it out. They got permission. They're gonna go check it out. As they start running out, they go out to the team. They have the friendly nice lady and a couple other dudes with them. As they get out to 1950, nice lady says, "Hey, you can't. I'm taking Loki with me, and you guys go off over there." And like Mobius, like, dude, no, I need him with me. Like, no, if he's to be trusted, he has to come with me. Like, okay, fine. If I should earn your trust, I'll do it. And they start walking by, and Loki starts to try to talk to the agent. Like, oh, I'm sorry we got on such off the wrong foot. This is a really nice time. We got to hang out. And it was like, shut up. And then they suddenly encounter a dude shopping for like plants. And they like look at it, the fuck. And she asks, "Would that be you?" And like, could that be you? Like, Loki responds like, "Usually I'd be wearing a suit, but yeah, probably." And it turns out it was him because as the TVA agent got close to the person, because the person like, "What are you doing over here?" It's like, "Oh, there's a sale."
Got snatched.
Hurricane sale, yeah. She got snatched by Loki. Like, and then she turns around, the TVA agent like, so you're the idiot that the TVA got to look for me. I'm like, me, I presume, yes. And then she like smiles back at him, and like he's like, so nice, and he smiles back at her like, so nice to meet you. And they start going back and
Very
forth.
creepy smile.
Yeah, the Loki smile is hilarious. Like, it's so nice to meet you, and they start going back and forth. As the other Loki walks up to somebody else, like I guess a shop clerk, like, "Do you guys have anything fine?" She takes over that shop clerk's body, and they're just asking like, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm sneaking into the TVA. I want to take over, and the other ones, I don't have no interest taking over, and I'm interested in
They just
something
want
else.
chaos.
Right? She didn't say that, but she's like, I'm interested in something else. And then they start fighting. And like, Loki, stop. And she's like, oh, don't call me that. Call me Randy. And then Loki's like, oh, I see why Thor hated that so much. Found that so annoying. So that implies that he already did that before at some point himself. He was also a girl and didn't like to be called Loki at some point either, and demanded to be called something else. And now he sees why Thor found that so annoying. That's great. And they start getting in a tussle. The two Loki start fighting with Randy's body, and then like Randy's body leaves, and then some big dude comes up and starts beating him up, and like, I would never treat myself like this. Like, you really do love hearing yourself talk, don't you? And this big dude that the other Loki is got enchanted, is beating the fuck out of him, and distracting him while he's like, "Why don't you fight me in person? Like, I got things to do," and just beating the shit out of him. And that's where the other Loki is like setting up everything that that they need to get the things going.
Nice save, bro.
Then you see like, oh, that's your plan. The reset charges, huh? Because our Loki sees one of the reset charges there, like, and then I think he gets pushed back real bad because they're fighting with a Roomba at some point, and he gets thrown, and then I guess Loki gets real mad, like, "What do you want from me? What is this about?" And you don't see that big guy anymore. And then you just hear the recording. "What do you want from me? What is it about?" Like twice, and you turn around and you see the body with magic flowing out, green magic, and then she takes off her headdress and she says, "It's not about you." And it's a girl with blonde
It's the
hair,
women.
with blonde hair and a headdress with one horn and one looks like another horn broken off that looks like a Loki headdress. So this should be Lady Loki. This is supposed to be Lady Loki, and then she, as that happens, I guess, right as she says, "It's not about you," the time bomb goes off, the little charge goes off,
Absolutely.
and Kapui is correct. It sets off this. It starts setting off these reset charges, one right after another. But then, right underneath the reset charge, a little little time door pops up, and the charge just drops through the door. And like, oh, and you see that happen to all of them. And then they cut back to the TVA, and the timeline is just going haywire. You see branches sprouting left and right, and then everybody starts freaking out. And it's like, and they just told the people like, someone just bombed the sacred timeline. She just,
What were some of the places that were like made it into the
oh yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
background of the show?
So as it was going down back and forth, like,
Because
yeah,
we watched it a couple of times.
yeah. Like on the screen, it was showing like the places that were reported where like the timeline was branching off, and we paused it a few times to see like where listed. Let's see, Loki locations. I want to look it up because I think someone else also. Yeah, because someone else already made this list.
Nice.
Time bomb. And she says something multiverse of badness. Let's see. Every location, the Lady Loki bombed. Okay, so like yeah, she bombed a shit ton of places, sending like these reset charges all over the everywhere. So she sent them to Ninehelm, that was listed. Nowhere was listed. Volmir was listed. Asgard was listed. Sakaar was listed. Ego was listed. Titan was listed. Hala, which is the homeland of the Kree. Xandar, the center of the Nova Empire. Jotunheim, and a bunch of places on Earth too. Rome in 1390. Portugal in 1492. Vietnam 1522. Barcelona in Spain 1540. Thornton, USA 1555. Porvoo, Finland 1707. Barichara, Colombia, February 2nd, 1808. Madrid, Spain, 1903. New York, USA, 1947. Tokyo, Japan, 1984. Kingsport, USA, 1999. Cockville, USA, November 1999. Beijing, China, 2005. And Dartford, London, 2006, England. And all those were listed on the screen in several, like in two different spots. So yeah, she bombed the sacred timeline, and it's making she's making the multiverse of madness. She's setting up the next movie, and that's already episode 2, and it just cuts off there. Oh no, it doesn't cut off there. It comes back, and the Lady Loki has a little time door controller, and she makes a time door, and she starts to walk away, and she waves at Loki, bye bye, and she walks in the time door, and then Loki is just like staring. You see Owen Wilson running after them, chasing with the TVA, and just the dramatic music getting real intense. And then Loki decides just to walk in behind the time door. The time door closes, and Loki's like, and then Owen Wilson's like, "God damn it!" And then that cuts off the episode. And that whole episode was intense. The multiverse of madness already set up in episode 2. It was pretty nuts. So what do you think they're gonna do in the next episode? That's gonna be tonight, technically, if we were so inclined to stay up there again.
I honestly don't know anymore. That threw me so much far into a loop. I don't know anymore.
Right? That shit was nuts. The one thing that everybody keeps talking about around the web is that there's no confirmation that it's Loki, and actually there's merchandise out there, but it might be fake. It might be like leak merchandise having her name as Sylvie, but Sylvie Laffy daughter, which means she's like Loki, but with a different name. So the reason they might use Sylvie is because Sylvie's like the Enchantress in Marvel. I don't know. We'll see as it unfolds. She looks like she's supposed to be Loki, a female version of Loki at some point. Maybe she was born female in her reality, because Loki is gender fluid. He has been a girl already in the MCU, according to Thor.
True.
A few times already, actually. He's like 1,000 years old right now, isn't he? Like 1,500 years old. Aren't him and Thor like 1,500 years old each? At this point, they're around that
Probably
age.
more, maybe.
Yeah, around that age. That episode was a trip, and I'm excited for the next one. Moving on, I guess we can go on to Dark Side of the Ring. This one's gonna take a while because it is like 2 hours. It is like 2 parts.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, the second part is not as. I guess it's like what they put it like in it's like an epilogue.
Right. It's like it kind of shows off what happens.
It's like Bill Pillman.
Bill Pillman and Bill Pillman Associates welcome you to our Lars Incorporated. Lars Incorporated headmasters of Schlong Distributions. They're gonna get you all the things that you need right away at a very good service.
Pillman. I lost my train of track. God damn it.
Train track. I lost my track of train. I lost my train. Can you help me find my train?
I'm lost. Help me.
I've lost my train. Can you help me find it? Like, what's it look like? It looks like a train.
Okay, what I was gonna say is like the first episode is the story of Brian Pillman, and then the second episode is like this is what happened after.
No, well, the second episode has the loose cannon gimmick, so it's all together. This is the first episode of the new season of Dark Side of the Ring. So we did it all in reverse order. We did the last episode first. Now we're doing the first episode last. Well, actually, Grace Smith wasn't the last episode. The last episode was Dynamite Kid. We'll have to do that next. So we'll fuck
random.
Yeah, exactly. We have to fuck everybody up.
We don't have scripts here.
We don't have scripts here.
Probably should, but
yeah, but Dark Side of the Ring, it's a great series. I recommend everybody watch it. In this episode, it starts off with just them like kind of setting up what happened with Brian Pillman, who he is, what kind of guy he was. He was a smaller dude compared to like most of the bigger guys and wrestling back then. Yeah, he had muscle on him, but he was like a smaller dude. Normally, like during the 80s and like 70s, like only the big guys could like get money for sure. Only the big guys were the main eventers. Brian wanted to change that. He said he was wanting to do everything in his power to show off that he knew everything about this business and that he was going to be a star. And he kind of did. He did some crazy shit. His crazy stuff was like him going against the script. It was like him becoming the loose cannon was his main thing, and then, like it was spiraled out of control, and kind of actually probably the loose cannon gimmick might have been why he ended up dying so young. He was kind of living out, kind of living out his thing. So it really starts off with basically setting up Brian Pillman. Stone Cold comes by. He sets up Brian Pillman at the early age because it was him and Brian together in WCW. They were the varsity. They were the Hollywood Blondes. I almost called them the Varsity Blondes. The Varsity Blondes are actually Brian Pillman's Jr.'s team, tag team in AEW. It's his son. But no, Stone Cold and
after this, I do have much more respect for him now.
Yeah, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it was Stunning Steve Austin back then, and Flying Brian Pillman were the Hollywood Blondes. They were actually put together because they were going to be an interim tag team, like kind of a jobber tag team. They were there to put other guys over. But Brian said, "No, we got to do this. If we're going to do this. We're going to do this great. If we're going to be a tag team, we got to like go all out." So he came up with the name the Hollywood Blondes because it's been done before, but no one's done it in a while, so we can do it again.
Genius.
He came up with the gimmicks. He came up with the coming out with the little film with the director snap like cut and they do the little roll like little camera roll gesture. It was all Brian.
I have to say, he's a fucking genius for the promos. God damn.
Yeah, it was all Brian.
Yeah.
So then it comes out with different people. We have Jim Ross talking about him. We got Jim Cornette talking about him. Was real friend. Jim Ross was the one that got into WCW back in the early '80s. It was him that brought him from Calgary. And then Jim Cornette was his friend during the '80s and '90s during the WCW and WWE days. And they even have his son come in and talk. Junior, it talks a little bit too. He's just talking about how. What kind of person Brian was. Brian was just like he wanted to be a top star, and he didn't care how he got there. He wanted to be a top star, and it just showed like multiple interviews, like the ECW interview was really intense, and it showed footage of that. It was a good interview. He got that raspy voice because he had a multiple polyps growing on his vocal cords, and when he was a little kid, they had to do multiple surgeries to cut them off because they would grow too big and like restrict his airway. So we always had that raspy voice.
He got a fucking emergency tracheotomy.
Yeah, he had to do emergency tracheotomy at one point. Like his mom had to call a doctor, and the doctor said, "Bring him to my house. Don't bring him to the hospital. I'm closer." And he just put him on the kitchen table and like had to cut him open and got it out. I mean, he got to live that long, so it worked. As he was growing up, he was always into sports, and he got into football, and that's where when he did after he did college football and got out of college football, he went out and tried out for the Bengals, and that's where he met Ken Wood. Ken Wood is a hilarious guy. He's a really intense guy too. He's the one that actually got him into pro wrestling.
Fucking Ken Wood. I love him at the end.
Yeah. Ken Wood is great. Yeah, Ken Wood is fucking awesome. He was like his life coach. He was Pillman's life coach for the most part. He actually got him. He got him into wrestling because after his stint in the Bengals, he went up and played he went to play professional football in Calgary. And Ken was the one's like, "Hey, you should probably go check out the Hearts in Calgary. The Heart group is pretty good over there." And he went to go train in Stu Hart's dungeon. Stu Hart's dungeon was intense. The Hart dungeon had many stories. If you ain't hearing screaming coming from the Hart dungeon, something ain't right. Stu Hart would just put all the guys in just holds and show all these crazy these motherfuckers just crazy these crazy things. Like you just they trained the Sheik, they trained Jim Neidhart, of course Owen Hart and Bret Hart were the biggest stars from the family. They had a bunch of other brothers. Calgary Stampede Wrestling was really big up in Calgary, and that's where Flying Brian got his start. That's like, and that was like the mid '80s. Everybody that was like in the know in the wrestling business back then. There weren't that many people, but there were still people that knew stuff. They all knew Brian right away. Meltzer apparently became friends with him right away because Meltzer and him started trading tapes. Brian wanted to learn more about wrestling around the world, and so he started like, "Hey, give me this, give me that, send me this, send me that," and he wanted to learn as much about wrestling as possible. And it was over in Calgary where Jim Ross finds him. Jim Ross brings him over to the WCW and gets him started as a singles. He actually had a really good match with Ric Flair back in like 1990. It was a really good looking match actually, and Ric Flair really liked him. Ric Flair was the matchmaker back then, so they actually got a good little run for him in 1990. But WCW being the crazy turmoil place it was, by 1991, 1992, they had already lost some of his story. It was around here they introduced his wives and his kids. They have Rochelle, and Rochelle's the mother of Brittany Pillman. They have Brittany Pillman come in and say hi. She's
A
uh,
quick idea.
mm-hmm.
We could like review like old wrestling matches.
Old wrestling matches.
Yes.
Yes, we could do that. We should do that. We'll give your suggestions. I need to put this in. I gotta put this the descriptions of what we do in our podcast, so I can get more people to get hits on our podcast. And they have Brian, they Brittany show come in. Brittany turns out was Rochelle's daughter, but a couple years before that,
Oh yeah.
he had hooked up with another girl in a bar in Atlanta, and he had another daughter, Danny, Danny Pillman. They also showed Danny Pillman. It turns out to be the oldest of the Pillman kids, but her mom didn't tell Brian until she was like 2 years old. But as soon as she told him, Brian was part of her life. Like his kids were first. That was like his main drive for everything. His kids were first, and then like while he was in Atlanta, he hooked up with what's her face, Michelle. No,
Not
no,
Rochelle.
no, not Rochelle, not Rochelle. The other one.
Oh,
Mindy? No.
Melinda.
Mel, yeah, Melinda, Mel. They all call her Mel. They show a little bit more about Eric Bischoff, kind of fucking over Brian Pillman because Eric Bischoff came off as one of the new matchmakers, and he put him back in the middle of the card. After being in a match with Ric Flair in 1990, back by 1991, 1992, he was just back in a mid card again, and I think it was 1992. Yeah, 1993. They tagged him up with Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was Stunning Steve Austin at the time, and Steve wasn't that happy about it at all. Like I'm a singles guy. What the fuck you putting me with another dude? But he wasn't mad at Brian about it. Of course, he was like mad at this kind of the company. But Brian's like, dude, we gotta if we're gonna do this, if they're making us do this, we gotta do this right. And when they start traveling together, Stone Cold talks about how whenever they're driving down, Brian was always reading like a dictionary so he can just learn more words for his promos and like
Genius.
yeah, just more better words for your promo. He liked Brian
He
was
was
a talker.
dedicated to his craft.
Yeah, Brian was the talker. He was a instant promo. The whole everything with the Hollywood Bronze was like Brian's idea apparently. Cocky, brash heels, and they were getting over. People liked them. People liked to hate them back then. Actually, like especially whenever Brian had that shitty grin on his face against like the baby faces. Yeah, 1993, they were getting hot. People liked them, and it was like really fast too. It wasn't that far into it that that they got broken up. It was like 1994, like a year in. They had failed to get a rating with a tag team match against Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, and they blamed the Hollywood Blondes. I think at that point he meets Mel. Yeah, Melanie. Yeah, Melanie. It's Melanie. Yeah, he meets up with Melanie, and they start hooking up in Atlanta, and then he gets divorced. He gets divorced from Rochelle, and he marries Melanie. Melanie was apparently some model in Penthouse, some Penthouse model he saw. Like I want to marry this chick, and of course she wasn't that great, but they got married. She had 2 kids from someone else, and he had he has Brian Pillman Jr. with her, and he has his 2 other daughters, and so Ken Woods at what point says like he just walks in with all these kids and like they all have different mothers. but Brian Jr. says like, well, everything he did was to provide for family. That's why he had that drive and the motivation to like be the best they can be. And Hollywood Blondes were doing great. And that was the Clash of Champions against Ric Flair that they failed, that they messed up at, and they cut. And TBS decided to split them up. At that point, that's whenever Brian starts talking to Eric Bischoff. Oh, okay. So we didn't. I
Oh,
skipped a little bit.
I was talking about the after the divorce,
Hmm.
and the Rochelle was somewhat neglectful at times,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they ended up like having custody battle for the kids, and then like it
Ma-
like kept piling up on Rochelle, and she ends up taking her life.
Yeah, Rochelle started having some mental problems, just like depression problems, really bad on her.
Hmm.
Melanie was fucking with her a lot, which was really fucked up. And then some dude like stabbed her in her face a few times. It broke in, so yeah, everything weighed on her. Apparently, she just ended up taking her own life. Brittany ended up without a mom. Uh, it was after that Eric Bischoff decides to he says that he says nowadays that he was in with Brian Pillman's idea to work over people's money. It was actually Ken's idea with Brian. How do you get attention? Um, how do you get more money out of these people? You got to make yourself look hot. You got to make yourself uh, look valuable. How do you make yourself look valuable? You got to make yourself look like you're something different than everybody else. So they came up with this idea to start
I'm
getting,
gonna hire this man to manage my life.
yeah, how to get attention stuff. Yeah, because this guy was his trainer. He has a
Yeah,
podcast
his
too.
old code.
Yeah, Ken Woods has a
He does?
podcast. Yeah, he does. You guys shout out to Ken Woods podcast. You guys should check it out. I haven't even checked it out myself, but I want
Speaking
to.
of comic podcasts, Jim Cornette also has one.
Oh, Jim Cornette's podcast is also great. I listen to Jim Cornette's podcast religiously now since I found it last year and during the pandemic. Good stuff. He's really funny. But yeah, Ken Woods. It was Ken Woods' idea for Brian to start like going off the rail to get Bischoff and McMahon to start bidding on you to start making more money, and whoever gives you more money, you go with. And they ask him, well, like, so what's your opinion on Vince McMahon? What's my opinion on Vince McMahon? Well, what do you do with a whore? You fuck him. That's my opinion on Vince McMahon. And I was like, that's great. Brian Plan's plan was simple though: more attention, more money. So he started fucking around and doing some crazy shit. Like the first thing he did was he messed with Brian Heenan.
He dropped the F bomb.
Yeah, and made Brian Heenan drop an F bomb live on WCW broadcast. Because Brian Heenan had a bad neck. Everybody knew that he had a bad neck. That he had a lot of surgeries with it. So he came by and touched him a little bit, and he said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And his attention got more. His match got more attention because of it. And then he had a strap match with not Lars, fucking Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan. He has a match with strap match with Kevin Sullivan, and at the end he says, "I quit, Booker man," and he runs out. He drops and runs out the ring, and that's very important because at the time nobody knows that Kevin Sullivan is the Booker of WCW. He just looks like some average wrestler that's kind of a part of the B League heel team. What Kevin Sullivan was actually the runner of the card, and it started getting everybody riled up. No one knew what Brian was going to do, and this was this is his gimmick. Everything's getting weird. He's getting nutty. He's getting fired probably. So Bischoff now says he's in with it. was originally in with it, but Brian said he was gonna he wanted more money, and Bischoff said, "Yeah, I'll release you so you can go get more money somewhere else, and then you can come back and I'll hire you for more." Oh, and yeah, and Brian was just getting in everybody's faces and just doing some crazy shit. Um, so he gets released from WCW, and Bischoff is like right now saying that before he didn't, but now he is, and so he's changing up his story. Um, Jim Cornette says it's bullshit. Bischoff didn't. It wasn't part of it. It was all Brian's idea. But he goes over to WCW to ECW. He got some crazy promos over there, and he gets people's attention, and that's whenever shit gets wild. He cut some ridiculous promos in ECW.
Pencil.
Yeah, where he's fighting the pencil. He's fighting the Booker. And where he's cooking, and he's like having a frying pan. He's doing some crazy stuff. Oh yeah, and some crazy stuff in the ECW. he hires a baby and a mom to stand in front of him, so he wouldn't get punched. Yeah, it was the ECW stuff, some nutty stuff. We should like go back and watch some of this old ECW footage, anything that's left.
All the old good stuff.
But it was during then that the wreck happens, because he was about to get signed with a
WWE.
Yeah, WWE, WWF at the time, and it was like it's all about money. All this craziness was really
No,
about money.
I think that was offered to him after the